Hi everyone, it's Pam here and I'm coming to you live from Virginia, although I am obviously recording this podcast and it's on a very cold, chilly Friday morning, but the sun is shining. It's a long weekend and at least it is here in Sydney. And I'm bringing you today a great episode all about new releases. So the second half of this episode is going to be the actual launch of Pamela Hart's Digging Up Dirt, which I had the pleasure of hosting last night at Berkelow's at Leichhardt. It was a really great launch. Shout out to Mel and Caleb at Berkelow's, who did a fabulous job of setting everything up, and also to Pamela and her husband Stephen and Rob for putting on such a great event, and fabulous food and drink and lots of great readers there and some writer friends. And we had a really good time talking about digging up dirt. And I'll get onto that when I talk about new releases as well. So apart from the launch, I'm going to go through some other new releases which are out like in June and very early July, and tell you a little bit about them. And I'll give you a little bit of a roundup on my own writing news. So to start with, I will actually do my writing news and then we'll get into the new releases. So for me at the moment, what I'm doing with writing is actually writing again, which is really nice. Writers, we write, but we don't always write every day. And I'm really fortunate, as many of you will know, to be in a fantastic writing group called the Inkwell. We have some really great members in there, all really great members, and I don't know where I'd be without these girls. And we've decided that a few of us, me included, needed a butt kick. So we have a new mantra, which is mornings are for writing. So with that idea that if you don't do it in the morning, it gets pushed aside and you actually probably don't even get to it later in the day. I have been very guilty of that lately and procrastinating a lot. So myself and a few of the others in the group are now doing a morning writing session every day. We message each other on the WhatsApp group that we have and let everyone know we've started. And then one of us is the butt kicker for the month and does a roundup at lunchtime just so we can all check in and report back. And that accountability is actually working really, really well for me. Sometimes in the morning I get up and I think, oh, I'll just do something else first, it can wait. And then I think, no, the girls are out there writing, I need to be writing too. So highly recommend that if you're a procrastinator and you're not really getting as many words down as you'd like. Get together with a few writing buddies, check in with each other on a daily basis or whatever schedule you set up for yourselves, and find yourself some accountability and a good butt kicker, because that's really important. So I am actually working on my novel, which I've been working on for some time, women's fiction, Because You're Mine. I can't say exactly when that's going to be out or how, but it will be out sometime, hopefully in the not too distant future. And as I said, I am getting the words down now. I'm doing some revisions on the earlier section, writing some new scenes towards the end. So it's a bit of a mishmash at the moment for me of some drafting, some revision. But I'm really happy with how it's going. It's coming along really well, and that daily focus on it is really paying off. So if you're not in a great headspace and you feel like you're not getting to your writing, I just highly recommend sitting down, bum glue, even if you're just staring at the screen and not writing too much at all, on some sessions, but at least having it there in front of you and being front and center for you in terms of getting it done. So that's what I'm working on. Of course, I'm working on the podcast. I've been very busy doing some teaching, particularly this month. I've just finished doing a Turn Up the Tension online course for Writing New South Wales. I've taught that course a number of times now and it's going really well. Seem to get great feedback on that, and the same this week. And of course, I'm doing my normal teaching for Australian Writers Centre, doing some creative writing stage 1 classes there and novel writing essentials, and reading really just some fabulous pieces from the students. And, that's really motivating too, just to see other people's dedication and words and the worlds that they're creating. There's quite a few fantasy pieces I'm reading and some crime, YA, lots of general fiction. So that's been really good too. So it's pretty busy. Next weekend I have Storyfest. I'm hosting 2 panels there. One is Writers on Writing with Jock Sarong, Gabrielle Carey, and Catherine Jinks. So that's going to be really great, of course, spending an hour chatting to really accomplished writers about writing. I've had the pleasure of reading all their books this month. It's been great. And I'm also doing a panel with Emily Maguire and Jessica Detman on families inside and out. And of course, love their 2 books, Love Objects. And this has been absolutely lovely. And I will be chatting to the girls about that. There's still tickets available for Storyfest. If you're in New South Wales, particularly in Sydney or anywhere near the South Coast, or can get to the South Coast next weekend, there are tickets still available for most of the sessions. Some are sold out. But I can highly recommend it. It's a fabulous program. So storyfest.org.au if you want to check that program out and get yourself some great writing and reading fun next weekend in beautiful Milton Ulladulla, which is my sort of soul home. Love that place. So that's about it sort of on my front. I do want to give a shout out though to Rights for Women community supporter, Chrissy Mios. Hey, Chrissy. Chrissy has sent me this beautiful gift of these gorgeous little earrings. Can you see them? They're little Virginias. So I'm really, really chuffed about that. And the other reason I want to give a shout out to Chrissy is on signing a contract for publication of her debut novel, which will be out next year, The Florentine Quilt. I had the pleasure of reading an earlier version of this. I'm sure it's had some more work since I read it, but it was great even when I read it back probably a year or more ago. And Chrissy is just one of those writers who has kept her eye on the prize. She has, reached for publication. But more importantly, she's done the work. She has written numerous books now. She's continued to learn about the writing craft, as we all should be doing, and as we do. And, Chrissy's determination, and I know that there's been some lows, as there are for all of us in the whole publishing process, but, it's the people who continue to work at it, continue to learn, and continue to just really be determined to get their work out there and connect to readers who succeed. And I'm just so excited for Chrissy that this will be her debut novel out next year, and I can't wait to see it in print. So congrats, Chrissy. It's amazing, and I'm sure all the Rights for Women community are behind you. So without any further ado, let's get on to what I've been reading and what I hope to read and what are some new releases. And as always, I do get these books sent to me from publishers and authors because of the podcast, which is lovely. And I just wish I could read faster and had more time to read, because I just can't get through them all. But one thing I am rereading at the moment actually is, and this isn't really part of the Rights for Women community, I guess, because it's Craig Silvey, who will be at Storyfest next weekend, talking about Honeybee, his fabulous novel about a young man, Sam Watson, who, when we meet Sam at the beginning of the book, is actually very, very close to committing suicide. And Craig Silvey tells his story in just such a beautiful narrative. He's a young man who's come from a very dysfunctional background. He meets and befriends a lovely guy called Vic, who actually saves him, and they save each other. And it's a lovely story about Sam coming to grips with his sexuality, his identity, his background, his family, and really, there's a lot of heartbreak and tragedy in there, but sorry, there is so much hope, and it's just beautifully written. I'm actually doing a read-along for Lisa Island's read-along group on Sunday for this book, and I've been having another look at it because I listened to the audio book quite some time ago, and if you're into audio books, the audio of this book is really great. The narrator is perfect as the voice of Sam, and it's a really good way to devour this story. I highly recommend it if you haven't read Honeybee yet. And I think this is a book that people who love all genres would really enjoy. It's as I said, a really moving story with a great cast of characters as well. So highly recommend Honeybee if you haven't read that one yet. Of course, Digging Up Dirt has been my current read this week, Pamela Hart. It's a cozy mystery, And it's a change of genre for Pamela. Many of us know her as Pamela Freeman. She's a prolific author, or productive author, she likes to say, of children's fantasy, epic fantasy for adults. She's written biography, crime. She's now into cozy mystery. She's, of course, written quite a few historical fictions as well. But this is a great story. It's if you love Miss Fisher's, murder mysteries and some of those sort of cozy mystery books, Solari Gentile, her style of writing and story. Pamela has branched out into the cozy mystery genre, and her protagonist in this book is Poppy, who is renovating a Sydney terrace, an old terrace. It's a very Sydney book. There's loads of Sydney references and settings in here, which is really lovely. It's very contemporary, and some bones are found in the grounds, in the sort of bowels, I guess, of the house, and there is also a murder very early as well in the book. So there's a bit of everything in here. There's some political intrigue. There's as Pamela's fabulous writing, and there's a little romance as well. So, and at the launch last night, Pamela did reveal there will be another Poppy book, and hopefully more to come. So stay tuned and hear more about this book in the second half of the podcast today. Another fabulous book that's out now, and I can't wait to read this one. It's top of my pile, is Maya Linell, Magpie's Bend. And this is I think it's the third from memory, book in Maya's sort of rural fiction series. They're standalone, but there's characters from each book who reappear in the next one. It's a beautiful cover. Look at that. Isn't she gorgeous? And that background is absolutely fabulous. So bush nurse Lara McIntyre and rural journalist Toby Paxton are thrust into the limelight when an accident puts the beating heart of their community in jeopardy. And in Maya's usual style, it's a great community story. There's loads of gorgeous rural setting, and there's a black tie ball, a fun run, a magpie called Vegemite, and a snake chasing kelpie called Basil. So it'll be a great read, I know, and I highly recommend that to everyone. And, it is a long weekend this weekend. So if you're looking for books, there's still time to pop down to your local bookstore, or download, as we can do now on Kindle. And many of these books will be on audio as well. Another book which I'm really looking forward to reading, because I absolutely loved The Whisper Network by Chandler Baker. This is Chandler's new book, The Husbands. I don't think I've mentioned this one on the podcast yet, but the tagline is, "To what lengths would you go for just a little more help from your husband?" I'm pretty sure that a lot of us would have a fine answer to that. Recently, Nora has started to feel that having it all, a family, a soon-to-be new house, a successful career in law, comes with a price, one her husband doesn't seem to be paying quite so heavily. When her house hunting takes them to an affluent suburban neighbourhood, Nora's eyes are open to a new world, one where women can have it all. But a wrongful death case involving one of the local residents draws Nora further into this perfect world, and she begins to realise that the secret of having it all may, in fact, be worth killing for. How good does that sound? So Chandler's first book, The Whisper Network, if you haven't read that yet, that was a great read about murder in a corporate setting. So this one sounds like it's got a bit of a similar vibe, but I just devoured The Whisper Network, and I can't wait to get into this one. Next up, we have a book by Michelle Wright. It's just some gorgeous covers around, aren't there? Small Acts of Defiance. It's a World War II novel, the remarkable debut novel from acclaimed prize-winning short fiction writer Michelle Wright, author of Fine. It's set in January 1940. After a bitter tragedy, young Australian woman Lucy and her French mother Yvonne are forced to leave home and seek help from the only family they have left. It's a gripping, meticulously researched novel and a nuanced, poetic and deeply serious exploration of the difference that individual choices can make. So that looks like another great war read, and as I said, it's on my pile and I will be getting to it very soon. Another great war Well, yeah, it is a war book actually, but I'm really keen to read this one, Sisters of the Resistance, and a shout out to Christine Wells, who I know is part of the Rights for Women community. And I'm going to be chatting to Christine very soon about this book. It's been a highly anticipated book. It's a novel of Catherine Dior's Paris spy network. So if any of you read Natasha Lester's fabulous recent release, The Paris Secret, it featured Catherine Dior to some extent, and this one goes even further, I think, into Catherine Dior's life as part of the French resistance. So Catherine Dior being the sister of the world-renowned, very famous clothing designer. So look at that gorgeous cover. It's out now. And I know that that's just going to go gangbusters for Christine because everybody is talking about it and wanting to read it. Another book that I have received recently is this with this fabulous cover as well. Echolalia, Briohny Doyle. So what could drive a mother to do the unthinkable? Emma Cormack married into a perfect life, but now she's barely coping. Inside a palatial home, her 3 young children need more than she can give. Clem, a willful 4-year-old, is intent on mimicking her grandmother, the formidable matriarch Pat Cormack. Arthur is almost 3 and still won't speak. Baby Robbie is perfect. He's the future of the family, so why can't Emma hold him without wanting to scream? So it's got a bit of a before and after storyline, and it looks like a really interesting read about, you know, women's lives, and it's something, of course, that I love to read and to write. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And you can't miss that if you see it in the bookstore, because look at that great cover. A couple of others that I've received recently, and talk about great covers. Look at this one, House of Kwa by Mimi Kwa. This one looks really, really interesting as well. Mimi Kwa ignored the letter for days. When she finally opened it, the news was so shocking, her hair turned grey. Why would a father sue his own daughter? So it looks like there's plenty of family intrigue in this one, and it's described as riveting, colourful, and often darkly humorous, an epic family drama spanning 4 generations. So that sounds like quite the family saga, that one. So that one will be coming out very soon, I think. So keep an eye out for that one. And this one isn't out till the 2nd of July, but also I'll give a shout out to that now because it is quite early next month that it'll be out. It's The Shutins by Catherine Braben. A mesmeric wonder of a book described by Hannah Kent. At once bold and subtle, it continues to unsettle my thoughts in the best possible way. So Maya and Hikaru went to school together in the city of Nagoya until Hikaru disappeared when they were 18. It's not until 10 years later, when Maya runs into Hikaru's mother, that she learns Hikaru has become a hikikomori, a recluse unable to leave his bedroom for years. So this sounds really intriguing. And then, of course, she goes to find out more about that. So that looks like a really different sort of story too, and one that I think it will definitely be staying in my pile and that I will be getting to very soon. Also wanted to give a shout out to a couple of other books which aren't out yet, but I want you to keep your eyes out for them. And you'll be seeing a lot of them on socials. This is The Last of the Apple Blossom by Mary Lou Stevens. Mary Lou is a fabulous supporter of the podcast. Shout out to Mary Lou. She sent me this gorgeous copy with some beautiful biscuits and a lovely card. And this book will be out in August. And it is a rural fiction family story. Through natural disasters, personal calamities, and the devastating collapse of the apple industry, Catherine, Annie, and those they love battle to save their livelihoods, their families, and their secrets. So another great family rural story. And look at that gorgeous cover. So gorgeous. Congratulations, Mary Lou. Very excited for you. And I'll be chatting to Mary Lou later on in the year in the podcast. And can't let new releases go, or upcoming releases, without giving a shout out to the lovely Natasha Lester. I got a copy of this. I'm very excited to read this. I've read and loved all of Natasha's books. She's a great friend of the podcast, has been on a few times, and I think we might have to get her back for a chat about this one the Riviera House. Natasha's great, of course, on socials and has been giving us updates on how the writing of this book's been going and her new book that she's working on for the one after this. This one is a poignant meditation on loss and the courage it takes to start over, a stark reminder of how the past influences the present. The novel kept me up at night, turning the pages faster and faster in order to be with its heroine, Remy, as she solved the mystery of an enigmatic painting and learned what happened to the resistants who risked their lives to help others. So that one's out from Natasha. And that one, sorry, won't be out until September 1st, but I'm sure it's up for pre-order and you're going to be hearing a lot more about it in the coming months. So they're the new releases that I have at the moment. Oh, sorry, there is another one called coming up, which looks really, really good, but this isn't the actual cover, but I'm seeing lots of great things about this on socials as well. It's called Catch Us the Foxes. It's a debut from Nicola West. So, and it's set in Kiama, which is one of my very favourite places on the south coast here in New South Wales. So watch out for that one coming out too. That's about it for new releases. There are, of course, plenty more, but they're just the ones that I've got copies of and have been hearing about and looking forward to reading. It's a long weekend. Grab yourself a book, wrap yourselves in a rug, sit in front of the fire, and hopefully you get some great reading done and some writing. All you writers out there, remember, mornings are for writing. Thanks very much for tuning in. And on we go to Pamela's launch for Digging Up Dirt.